How can we turn students into genius learners? And it's not about giving them ChatGPT free access. Hi there, I'm Dr. Michael Rutkowski, and I share in this series the articles I wrote, my academic work, and I try to not make it sound boring. So this is actually not a new article. We, meaning me and Dr. Klimska, we wrote it back in 2022, but I wanted to share it because it's very important to me, because it was the first one I ever wrote, and back then I wasn't recording any long-form YouTube videos, so I didn't have any medium to share this work, and now that I started doing this regularly, I finally have the chance to spread it. So the basic premise of this article is the fact that in our educational system, we're being told that we should learn, but no one teaches us how to learn. And this article was aimed at bridging this gap, so empowering students, parents, teachers, educators with tools that they can then apply and make their pupils, learners, students more avid learners. So first of all, there are many things one can do in order to raise the effectiveness of one's education, which are not even learning. And what I mean here is things like proper sleep, proper nutrition, physical activity. Actually, there is even this quote that I love, that physical activity is the best available prescription drug for learning enhancement, or something like this. I think it's attributed to Terence Sejnowski. So, we hear a lot about like super effective tools, digital tools, AI enhanced learning, and so on. And while all of this is true, we ought to not forget that if the student is underslept, has some mental issues going on, is malnourished, and in general, if these basic needs are not met, it tremendously lowers the effectiveness of one's learning, studying, frankly, any activity. So if we want to aim to create an educational system that helps students realize their full potential, we need to target these basic things first before we can move on to effective tools. But okay, you didn't click on this video to hear about like nutrition and physical activity. You clicked on this video because you want to know the actual tools that one can incorporate in the classroom, in the self-study sessions, and so on and so forth. During my master's studies, I was analyzing different science-based tools and strategies to enhance the effectiveness of learning, of one's studying. That was a very selfish goal. I also wanted to learn more efficiently myself. And one of the most important parts is chunking. Chunking refers to breaking down the material into smaller parts in order to be able to digest it better. And this might seem obvious, but so often we try to tackle subjects in their entirety instead of first like skimming through the material and trying to break it down into smaller sections and then approaching them one by one. Very often we try to learn the study material like in one session, starting from like the beginning of the text till the end, without like the reference of how does it tie into like a bigger machine? How does this chunk tie to this bigger machine that we're trying to learn and understand? Second of all, or maybe it should have been first of all, because actually it's like any language methodology related things you read and study, it always comes up this thing: you should practice. Learning through practice is like the best thing for your brain, but in this article we referred to it as active recall. So when you try to study something, there are many things you can do and that are encouraged in our educational systems, like rewriting material or rereading it many times. But actually, this is not so effective. What is really, really effective is when you try to like put away your book or your app or whatever the source of your knowledge is, and just try to recall it from your memory. Try to actively recall the studied material. This in itself is the most important exercise. And if you can take one thing from this video, remember that if your study sessions lack this exact thing, then probably there is some room for improvement. The next concept is distributed practice. It means that we should strive not to learn during one long session, but to distribute it over many days in order for our brain to digest the material better. And maybe you've heard that, sleep in between sessions is also very important. And this is because during sleep, there is a process going on called memory consolidation. So basically things from our short-term memory are being translated into the long-term memory, and this is basically how you make your learning effective but also sustainable over long period of time. So instead of learning during one long session, try to distribute it over many days of the week, and you're gonna see an increase in your effectiveness of learning. The last one, which is maybe a bit surprising for some of us, it was definitely surprising for me, is interleaved practice. It basically means that, for example, if you want to learn 2 hours a day, it would be better for you not to focus on one thing over this long time, but to interleave the concepts or the things you're trying to learn. And you can apply it to different subject matters. Like if you study mathematics, biology, and English, you can interleave the subject, but also within one field, you can also, for example, when you're studying English, you can devote a short session towards grammar, a short one towards vocabulary building and pronunciation practice, right? But whatever you're trying to study, try to interleave the chunks, the subparts of your study material with each other in order to create a diverse learning session. So this is basically all the tools and strategies we discuss in this article, and then we propose how to incorporate it into educational system, because you cannot just drop all of this knowledge on 7-year-olds and expect them to incorporate in their sessions. You gotta find a way to do it slowly and also break down this study matter in their learning so they can, digest it in an effective way. So we proposed a model in which there are 3 stages. The first one is pre-primary school, where the key agent is the parent. So their goal is to provide all of these basic components of effective learning that we discussed in the beginning. So proper nutrition, proper sleep, physical activity, and mental support, and so on. The second stage is primary school, where educators or teachers play the key role, and their goal there is to not only, teach their subject matter, but also show the students how they can learn effectively based on the tools that we shared. So chunking, active recall, interleaved practice, and distributed practice. And the last stage is secondary education, where the key agents are the learners themselves, and their goal is to explore, experiment with different tools, and build their learning toolbox themselves, because as you also probably heard from many other people on the internet, it's always about the actual learner at hand, and we should strive to adjust the tools to ourselves, not to find a cookie cutter method that should suit us all. There are some principles, but the actual methods, the actual tools are what is, what was that? But the actual methods and tools one is gonna use depend very highly on this individual. So what is their learning style, their personality type, and so on. So guys, that's it. Thanks for watching this video and listening to my talk. Let me know in the comments, have you ever in your education, have you ever been taught how to actually learn effectively? Do you agree with the premises of our article? Is there anything you would add to it? So share your experiences, and very soon, hopefully, I'm going to share more articles which are going to be more language related. This one I actually published before my PhD, and it was more focused on education than linguistics itself, but stay tuned for the linguistic stuff. And also leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more of that.